Gopi Janapalava Girvanidhari Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Vairagya Madhava Kunja Vihare Gopi Janapalapa Nirvanidhari Suranandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parabhavakataya Asantarasutta Shri Sriman Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Surupa Upar Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parabhavakataya Asantarasutta Shri Sriman Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Surupa Upar Namachari Saharidas Thakur Pira Prem Sekaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Bhakta Vindakita Shri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopanath Shai Mukunda Radha Kundi Girgoram Puja Shri Vrindavan Dham Puja Shri Mayapur Dham Puja Ganga Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vindi Ki Jai Anantapur Vaishnava Bhakta Vindi Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Guru. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The temple computer broke down, so there will be no other telecast. Only Zoom will be operating. That's what is the thing Nityaram asked me to inform you all. Okay, go ahead. Can you tell the verse,
10th
please?
Canto, Chapter 46, Uddhava visits Vrindavan, and we're on text 6. Before I begin class, I should also mention that today is the disappearance day of Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and also Krishnadas Kaviraj. Now we could read about them, but we'll see what happens with the Bhagavatam class, and if there's some interest in these three personages, we'll speak a little bit about them. There's one thing I came across, that one of them, it's Raghunath Das Goswami, he's the spiritual master of one of the other ones, and so I have a question for those people who are listening. Which one of the other two, Raghunath Bhatta or Krishnadas Kaviraj, which one of those two is a disciple of Raghunath Das Goswami? Can anybody give me an answer to this question? It's important that we understand the lives of the previous acharyas, because from hearing about their lives, we can understand what is proper behavior in all realms of spiritual life. So it's a good idea to have some knowledge of who these persons are.
Krishna Kaviraj.
Krishnadas Kaviraj?
Yeah,
Did you
according to
look?
the names.
Did you look it up?
No, I'm only guessing.
You're guessing. Okay. Does anybody else have a guess? Or
The nephew was the disciple of Jiva Goswami was the disciple of the brother, not coming.
see, we should try to remember these things.
Okay.
And the only way you can remember these things is to frequently read them. And we have opportunities at least twice a year, well, sometimes only once,
I think it was Rupa Goswami.
hear these if it's mentioned during the morning program anytime.
I think he was disciple of Rupa Goswami.
No. Raghunath Das Goswami, spiritual master of Krishnadas Kaviraj. That's what
right.
that was my question. You were right, yes. But I was hoping nobody would go to,
Thank you.
To Google it and find out that answer. I'm trying to get people to think about pastimes of these persons. Prabhupada stressed these things greatly, more greatly than, say, like observance of, just like we had Ram Vijay. He's put more emphasis on understanding about the previous acharyas and their life than to understand and perform all the different rituals involved with Ram Vijay. Not so much focus was placed on, there was focus placed on Krishna, his direct avatar, and of his subsequent incarnations. Not a lot was directed towards. Most of it, after Krishna and Radharani, most of the influence was directed on our previous acharyas. And strict observance of all kinds of rituals like Shivaratri and all these kinds of things was sort of regulated to third class. So it's more important to understand by hearing about these acharyas so that we can understand their transcendental nature and try to follow some of their practices so that we can increase our Krishna consciousness. Because hearing about them tells us what others have done in the past to understand who Krishna is and what is their relationship with Krishna. So that is more important than observing various different Vedic rituals. The idea behind it is by understanding the lives of these acharyas, we will be able to obtain the goal of life. Whereas observing the various different Vedic rituals related to other personages, even if they may be incarnations like Ramachandra or Vraha, or any of these, it's more important to remember the lives of the previous acharyas than to remember these other entities. So anyway, let's go on with Srimad Bhagvatam class. So let's see here. Dharayanti ata ichena. This is
Daryanti
1046.
ati Krishna
Prayaha Parnaya Katachana
Prayaha Pranan Kachanchana
Pratyagamana Sandresher
Pratyagamana Sandesher
Bhavayomi Mad Atmika
Ballavyo me Mad Atmikaha
Daryayanti Ati Rit Cherena
Dharyanti ati Krichrena
Prayaha Paranaha Katachana
Prayaha Pranan Kachanchana
Pratyagamana Sandresher
Pratyagamana Sandesher
Malavyomi Mad Atmika.
Ballavyo me Mad Atmikaha.
Someone else can chant?
Anybody in the temple room?
No, there's no one here.
Okay, we'll go from the Zoom land here. Lucian Prabhu, you can go first.
Okay. Adrianti ati Krichrena Prayaha Pranam Kachanchana Patriagamana Sanderser Balavyome Mat Atmikaha.
Usha Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. Dharayantai atikratrena prahaprananam katatuna pratyegamana sandese balavayo me matatmika.
Srilata Devi Dasi Mataji. Hare Krishna Rani Subhadra Devi Dasi Mataji like to do? Okay, I see Jai Govinda Prabhu. Jai Govinda Prabhu, are you there?
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Dharatyanti Krit. Oops, sorry. Can you hear?
Yes.
Okay. Dharayanti Krichrena Praya Pranam kathanachana pratyagamana sandeshar bhalavyo me mad atmikaha.
Onto Ruhith Prabhu.
Varayanti,
Dharayanti,
they hold on.
they hold on.
Ati rich traina,
Atikricherna,
with great difficulty.
with great difficulty.
Raya,
Prayaha,
barely.
barely.
Ranam,
Pranan,
to their lives.
to their lives.
Athanchana,
Katanchana,
somehow.
somehow.
Prati agamana,
Prati agamana,
of return.
of return.
Sandeshihi,
Sandeshya,
by the promises.
by the promises.
Malavha,
Vallavyaha,
the cowherd women.
the cowherd woman.
May,
May,
my,
my.
matatmekaha,
Mathatmikaha,
who are fully dedicated to me.
who are fully dedicated to me.
Translation. Simply because I have promised to return to them, my fully devoted cowherd girlfriends struggle to maintain their lives somehow or other. You can repeat. Simply because I have promised
Simply because I have promised
to return to them,
to return to them,
my fully devoted cowherd girlfriends
my fully devoted cowherd girlfriends
struggle to maintain
struggle to maintain
their lives
their lives
somehow or other.
somehow or other.
Purport by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. According to Srila Viswanath Chakravarti, although the gopis of Vrindavan were apparently married, their husbands actually had no contact whatever with their supremely attractive qualities of form, taste, fragrance, sound, touch, and so on. Rather, their husbands merely presumed that these are our wives. In other words, by Lord Krishna's spiritual potency, the gopis existed entirely for his pleasure, and Krishna loved them in the mood of a paramour. In fact, the gopis were manifestations of Krishna's internal nature, his supreme pleasure potency, and on this spiritual platform they attracted the Lord by their pure love. Nanda Maharaj and Mother Jasoda, Lord Krishna's parents in Vrindavan, had also attained an almost exalted state of love for Krishna, and they too could barely maintain their lives in his absence. Thus Uddhava would also give special attention to them. Dharayanti adrichena Vayanaha Paranna Katyachana Tikrana Sandresher Lavyo Me Mad Atmika. Simply because I have promised to return to them, my fully devoted cowherd girlfriends struggle to maintain their lives somehow or other. So here in this particular chapter, we're speaking about Uddhava and his message to the gopis and the other inhabitants of Vrindavan. Now in the think it's the third canto, the fourth chapter, text 13 or 14, I'm not sure which. Uddhava is described as being non-different from Krishna, and that Uddhava is just as good as Krishna, because he's a very pure soul, an eternal associate of Krishna. You see him in all of the different pastimes. He appears in Krishna's association many times. I'm not sure where it's from, but it is said that Uddhava's father is a brother of Vasudeva. I don't remember what his name was. I just remember that Krishna and Uddhava are cousin brothers. In other words, they have the same grandparent. Their fathers are different, their mothers are different, but they have the same grandfather on their father's side of the family. And it's described also that not only was there that relationship, but that Uddhava looked a lot like Krishna. And he had some of the same mannerisms that Krishna had. So it's very easy to see Uddhava in the distance and think, oh, here comes Krishna. Although he did not dress the same way. But his consciousness was very similar to that of Krishna. They saw a lot of things in the same way. And because of this, their activities appeared to be very similar. So when Uddhava was coming, at first, gopis were a little confused. Is this Krishna coming? And then when he got a little closer, they all said, oh, this is not Krishna, this is Uddhava. What's Uddhava doing here? Maybe he's brought a message from Krishna. So the gopis were thinking like this. Now, some of the gopis were married. Some of them weren't. But as it points out here, those that were married, their husbands had no inclination that their wives had paramours. And that this paramour was Krishna, because of Krishna's pleasure policy, covering them over. They just saw them. Oh, these are our wives. This is my wife. Although there was very little relationship that was there. We were attentive to each other, yes. But often the gopis would go off to see Krishna. And the husband would be almost oblivious to the fact that they're gone, they're not there. Of course, the children cried, those that were being breastfed, because the mother wasn't there to feed them, so they would cry. Other than that, it was like they weren't missed at all. So by Krishna's mercy, Uddhava, Krishna is seeing that they're only keeping themselves alive by remembering me and by the promise I made that I would return. And so that they were holding within their hearts, oh, he will return soon. And in the meantime, they would think, minds would be absorbed in Krishna. Of course, a lot of time they were in a great deal of anxiety, so they were not so much thinking. They were just feeling great separation. Where is Krishna from? Where is he? And so in that state, they were very much in anxiety. And the only thing that was saving him was the fact that he promised them, I will come back. I think that was mentioned in the first text of this chapter, the first or second text of this chapter. That concept was mentioned. So by Krishna's mercy, they were still living, although in great anxiety. And to a similar extent, Vasudeva and Devaki were feeling separation, and Nanda and Mother Jasoda were all feeling this. When Krishna was not present, they were in anxiety. And since Nanda and Jasoda had seen Krishna for the first 10.5 years of his life, their last scene of Krishna was not so long ago, not like Vasudeva and Devaki. They hadn't seen him for 10.5 years. Sure, they heard some things about him, but it was as far as it went. They did not have this direct association. And so they are greatly distressed, as were other people living in Vrindavan, because in Vrindavan everyone had developed some kind of attachment on some level. The Gopas, the Gopis, the parents of the Gopas and Gopis, the cows, all these entities had some relationship with Krishna, and so they were feeling that separation when Krishna was not present, because Krishna had gone to Mathura and then later Dwarka. So they were feeling that separation. In the same way, when one practices Krishna consciousness, renders service to Krishna, the ultimate goal is to attain to Krishna's association. So we are, in a sense, also acting in separation, but our attachment is very much weaker. In some cases, we're very reluctantly thinking of Krishna. Almost have to be forced to think of Krishna. But those who have come, they have rendered service on behalf of Krishna, under the guidance of the spiritual master. Those individuals can come closer to Krishna and develop some attachment, some stronger attachment. And along with that, all the other qualities that are exhibited in the devotion of Krishna gradually manifest. Now, these living entities are conditioned living entities under the control of the three modes of material nature. That is the category that we are in. Anyone who has come to the material world is of this nature. Of course, Some individuals come from the spiritual world to teach. So they are pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada, like Bhaktisiddhanta, like Raghunath Das Goswami, like Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Krishnadas Kaviraj. All these are saintly persons, sadhus. It's not to say, though, that we can't come to a similar level. Just as we haven't learned to give up our material attachments. We haven't developed strong faith in Krishna, in the Shastra, in the spiritual master. Thus, this is lacking. Not so much great. But if we get some attachment, some taste, and we practice the sadhana practices very diligently, regularly chanting the Gayatri, Maha Mantras, regularly rendering service before the deity in the temple. All these practices bring us closer to Krishna. That is provided we come with the proper consciousness. We come with the consciousness that I am not so much elevated, devoid of sense of false prestige. Humbly approach senior Vaishnavas, asking for the benediction to be able to attain Krishna's lotus feet. So are there any comments, questions?
It's very interesting. Uddhava relations to the Krishna. Anyway, thank you for reminding us. I vaguely remembered that, yeah, there are cousins or something, but today you've made it very clear that not from the parents' side, but from the grandparents' side. Thank you. And love in separation is much better than being together. That's what always we discuss. You are reiterating. And it's interesting in the purport also, the disciples are saying their husbands were not at all aware of the rasa they're enjoying in different forms. That's what you're telling, and you were also saying that they were not even aware. Yeah. It's interesting to see that how we here formal love is much more higher than other direct love. That's also interesting to see in the spiritual. But he did it in this material world in Goloka Vrindavan. That's interesting to see that for Krishna, Paramour love is great, but in case of our own material, this thing, it considered the worst. Thank you, Prabhu, for expressing this thing in your talk. Anyone else, please go ahead.
Hi Krishna, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Now, Uddhav's relationship with Krishna is very something else. It's very tight because Uddhav is the one who Krishna tells him to preach to the queens at, I think it was Kusum Sarovar, and that's when they depart to the other planet as he was preaching to them. Am I correct? Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, okay. And his Also, Uddhav and Maitri are a very close relationship, as Krishna gives message to Maitreya to relate to Uddhav. And I think that was done at by Ganges in not Rishikesh, but uh, Haridwar. Yeah, those are the ones I can recall.
Anybody else?
You want to end the class here, Ruhith Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
In Bhakta Lucian. Like from this sloka, I also, with the similarity of Uddhava and Krishna, like I know that in the world, like I'm trying to relate to my life, and I know in the world, sometimes we see duplicates, someone who is exactly like the other person, the looks are different, and but they live in completely different part of the world. But the same future, and they might have different personality, but the looks are the same. And I think that's happened in the world quite often. And actually, you know, like I experienced that when I went to India, because like my mother was born in 1928. So when the war broke up in 1939, she was 13 years old, and you know she was going to school when the war started. She was 13 years old. So the war affected her since she was 13 till she was 18. You know, experiencing the war as a young lady was very hard. And also she escaped 4 times from transportation. They were taking her to Germany, but she escaped. So her life was unusual in a way because of those events. And she had always this kind of attitude of immediate danger or something. She was scared, basically. And when I went to India, I saw exactly a person who looked like my mother, had the same future. Even I could see the personality, the same personality she had, except she was, and I had like maybe 5-10 minutes talk with her because I met this person on a SkyTrain in New Delhi. And she looked exactly like my mother, the hair, the face, even the body type. She was a little bit overweight. But she was like very peaceful, and she was just there for me. She was listening. She just smiled, and it kind of was interesting experience because I had the realization that that could be my mother, just without all those experiences of the war and the tragedy of the life. And and I know that in life there are sometimes people, they look exactly the same, but they have the same futures, and they teach us something. There's always some kind of lesson when we meet people like that.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever experienced something like that, Prabhu? Thank you.
Uh, No, I haven't experienced anything like that, although I do know that quite often one's appearance is governed very much by one's karma. So in that sense, some individuals will look very similar. The same thing I have seen, actually I saw when I was in Rajkot. Well, not Rajkot itself, but a small village to the west of Rajkot. I was there one morning for Mangal Arti, and I had with me a translator. And when I got separated from my translator, and I tried looking for him. A lot of the people in that village looked like him because it was from that particular area. So there's some also genetic inheritance that have similar appearances. Just like everyone in my mother's family have sort of a dark, well, not really a blonde hair, but a darker, almost a brown colored hair. In my father's family, everyone has, when they're young, their hair is very light colored, blonde or light brown. And when they reach puberty, their hair all becomes dark brown. So there are family resemblances there. And this is the case with Krishna and Uddhava, that they are very similar appearance. They're closely related. Now, Krishna doesn't have any karma. And Uddhava is a pure devotee, so but they have similar appearance. So that is there. And so this is useful for Uddhava because it makes the gopis feel a little bit comfortable in his presence. Because he is reminding them of Krishna. That is the main feature of these particular verses. They are reminded of Krishna just by seeing him, even though it's not exactly Krishna, and he has many differences from Krishna, but he's similar enough that he reminds them of Krishna. Actually, in a sense, I came to understand that I have two godbrothers who look very similar to me. There's Chandramali Maharaj. We're about the same height. His face is a little wider than mine, but it's the same kind of forehead. His chin is more square than mine, but very similar. And the other devotee, I never met the other devotee, so I don't know how much we look alike. But I've had people, when I was in India, someone came up to me and he called me by this other devotee's name. And I looked at him, but I said, no, it's not my name. So, in other words, I had enough facial features and bodily shape that I reminded him of this other person. So that is kind of there, although it's not so much of interest. It's just a side note. So now I'm going to, unless someone
Thank you.
has another question.
Thank you, Prabhu.
If there aren't any questions, I'll read something.
I really appreciate. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to read something about Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Das Goswami, this is from Gaudiya history. This is ISKCON Desire Tree. Raghunath Das was born 1495 and died 1586, and was the first of the 6 Goswamis to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was born in a small village of Sri Krishnapur in West Bengal. He belonged to a fabulously rich family of landlords. His family were millionaires, even in those days. So they had acquired their wealth because they owned the entire Saptagram district, and the taxes that came from that land was something like 20 lakhs of rupees per year. This was how much they got after they paid taxes to the king. So there was an immense wealth in that family. And Raghunath was directed. He was attracted to the spiritual life, even though his family was not so much interested in him going through all these different things. And under the association of Swarup Damodar, who he was put in charge, Raghunath Das was put in charge of. So he received his spiritual trainings from Swarup Damodar. There's a big long article in this desire tree here. It goes for long ways. I just wanted to mention those couple little things. And now something about Krishnadas Kaviraj. Krishnadas Kaviraj appeared near Katva, and he left Katva to go to Vrindavan after Lord Nityananda told him in a dream. O my dear Krishnadas, do not be afraid. Go to Vrindavan, for there you will attain all things. Krishnadas took Diksha from Raghunath Das Goswami. He lived in a renounced order of life at Shaimakund near Mansa Parava Ghat, which is Radharani's midday bathing place. Sri Jiva Goswami, as per the custom of giving titles of honor to qualified devotees, gave Krishnadas the title Kaviraj, the king of poets, for his poetic masterpiece, Govindam Lilamrita. Sri Narottam Das Thakur wrote in Bharata. Krishnadas Kaviraj, who composed the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, is the connoisseur among devotees. His Govinda Lilamrita moves stones to tears, but alas, my mind is not attracted to it. During Krishnadas's time, the Vaishnavas would gather at Govindaji's temple to hear Sri Haridas Pandit read Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. Devotees were eager to hear about the Lord Gauranga's later pastimes, so they asked Krishnadas Kaviraj to write them. Krishnadas prayed to Madan Mohan for ability and blessing. The deity's flower garland fell down, indicating divine sanction. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. By the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami remained a lifelong brahmachari. His service was constant chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra and reading Srimad Bhagvatam. In Jagannath Puri, Raghunath satisfied Lord Gauranga by his exceptional cooking and kirtan performances, which won him the title Kirtanacharya. When he came to Vrindavan, the Vaishnavas, including Sri Rupa and Sanatana Goswamis, would regularly listen to his singing of Bhagavat slokas in 4 tunes as sweet as a cuckoo. His recitation was unparalleled. Even Vyasadeva enjoyed it. He fulfilled Lord Chaitanya's order to preach the glories and peerless significance of the Jagannath Raj Srimad Bhagavatam. His tears of pure love for Radha and Govinda, the wet page Raghunath Bhatta was so absorbed in Krishna Katha that he never heard or spoke worldly topics. What to speak of criticizing devotees? He believes that all Vaishnavas were sincerely serving the Lord according to their realization, and therefore one should overlook their faults. Under his inspiration, a wealthy disciple built a gorgeous temple in Vrindavan for Sri Sri Radha Govindaji. Even after 450 years, this intricate hand-carved red stone temple remains the most beautiful temple in Vrindavan in all of northern India. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami faithfully served Govindaji for 40 years. So these are a couple of things about these 3 personages. Like I said before, it's a good idea to remind oneself of the previous acharyas, because they can, by their life, we can get some impetus for becoming more Krishna consciousness, be more on that Krishna conscious platform. Their lives can inspire us to become more faithful to the practice. And from their lives we can see that nothing is empowered if Krishna gives one his benediction. So these personages have somehow or other acquired Krishna's favor. Either by the benediction of other Vaishnavas, or by their direct interference. Well, not really interference, but the direct activity of Krishna. So it's always a good idea to remember them, especially on their appearance and disappearance days. But this means that we have to pick up the books Prabhupada has translated for us and read these things or listen to lectures about them. And in this way we can remember how to come closer to Krishna. Jai, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. So are there any
Thank you very much.
announcements?
Yeah, today is Wednesday, so Jai Govinda Prabhu should announce his class. Are you there, Jai Govinda Prabhu? Okay, please attend his class 7 to 8.
I am here. Thank you. I was just in the other room listening intently. Thank you, Ruhith Prabhu. Very nice cross. I liked your points about the acharyas and learning and hearing about the acharyas. It is very important. And thank you for giving a little anecdote of the different acharyas that their appearance day is today. So this evening, we're having our Sri Upanishad module for the Bhakti Shastri course, and it's on this channel at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., 1 hour. and we'll look forward to seeing anyone who would like to tune in and listen on. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Jagannatha Prabhu. Ruhith Prabhu, is it possible for you to take the laptop to the altar and face it to the altar, please? And make sure the power is there to the laptop so that people can see. I don't know, you said nobody is there in the temple room. I cannot hear anything unless I see you in the screen. That's how the laptop doesn't work from sideways.
Yeah. So I'm going to disconnect so I can reconnect up by the altar, okay?
Correct. It will last for half an hour, not a problem. But make sure you give the power to the laptop.
I'll try. Yes.
Yeah. Now you take the laptop to the altar.
Okay.
Okay, but make sure we can see. Yeah, we can see everything. Little towards Tulsi Maharani, little, tiny bit. Or too much, Prabhupada, we cannot see.
Okay.
Little more. Little more. Yeah, that's good. We can see everything. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Okay, let's chant the Mahamantra for the benefit of all the living entities in the world, especially for our new temple construction. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Tavkara Kamalavarana Kam Adbhuta Sringam Dalita Diranyakeshpu Tanubrindam Keshavadirtha Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadishare Jai Jagadishare Jai Jagadishare Jai Narsingadev 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 Jai Prahlad Mara Prahlad Mara Prahlad Mara Prahlad Mara Prahlad Mara Prahlad Jai Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada. May their lordships Sri Radha Madana Mohana, Radha Madana Gopal, Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadramaya, Sudarshan Bhagwan, Narsingha Bhagwan, Prahlad Maharaj, Gauranitai, Panchatattva, Tulsi Maharani, Guru Parampara, and Srila Prabhupada. Please bless all of us so that we'll be fit and fine and serve you wherever we are, especially come together to build a wonderful new temple here as soon as possible. Have mercy, have mercy, have mercy on all of us. Bless us, bless us, bless us. Thank you, all of you. Ruhith Prabhu, are you still there? Make sure you give the power, please. Don't forget the power. Otherwise, it will die without the life support.
I think you got it connected now.
Thank you very much. May Krishna, Radharani, and Prabhupada bless you with happiness, peace, and good health. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. All glories to you. Thank you, all of you. Have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna.
One.